is take the long view on your progress and on your goals. And this kind of comes from a personal experience lately of starting up the kettlebell strongman training again, which I first did a few months of consecutively between July of 2017 and kind of end of February, I think mid-February of 2018, right before the CrossFit Open workouts started. And it was just something I needed direction at that point in time. I needed something to do on my own with support. Long story short, the whole point of that little segue is that in revisiting that program and starting it up again, I've been doing it. This is now the 8th week I've done it in a row. I've been able to kind of check my progress now against what I was able to do initially in the beginning. In the beginning, I was learning everything as I went. My skills were new or a little rough, and I was just building strength at the time, strength and confidence that I could do those things by myself without somebody right there with me. So with that in mind, I came back to it, and this time I'm like, yeah, I know how to do that. I feel good doing it. I feel strong, and I've really pushed myself a little bit harder in those areas too. So what I've found is I have been making some big gains, like really big gains, like 20-pound differences in the things that I am able to do now that I couldn't do then. Or yesterday I did this crazy exercise called a Jefferson swing, which is a 2 kettlebell swing with, stagger stance. If you're curious, I'll share a video, but you gotta ask for it. I'm not just gonna inflict it on you. Anyway, long story short, I couldn't even handle this thing with light kettlebells the first time around back in August of 2017. It was a hot mess. It was a train wreck. Even trying to get video help from my friends, it was terrible. And yesterday I totally made it happen. I figured it out. I made it work. I used heavy kettlebells, and I wrote on my Instagram stories thing, I shared it there, I couldn't do that 18 months ago. And I thought about that because I thought about the other things that I've been able to do with sandbags and kettlebells and yada, yada, yada. And over the last few weeks, I found that there were all these things I couldn't do a year ago. I couldn't do 9 months ago. I couldn't do 6 months ago. And it just was a really good reminder that it's important for us to measure our progress over time and really take a long view on where we've come from. Because I know a lot of times when we start out doing something or when we're starting back up again, we have some really big expectations of ourselves and the amount of change that we're able to create in our own lives, whether that's with our fitness, diet changes, organization, habits, what have you. We think, man, if I just put my whole self into it, I'm going to be able to make all these changes in 4, 6, 12 weeks. But sometimes that's really unrealistic, and we can get kind of bogged down in how difficult it can be to create that change and sustain those changes as we go along over that period of time. And so it's important to do a couple of things instead of getting bogged down in that I can't do this, I can't handle it, I'm not meant to make these changes happen for myself. So instead of that, what we can do is first, take the long view and really think both forwards and backwards. Think back to yourself. What can I do now at this point in time that I couldn't do a year ago, that I couldn't do 2 years ago, that I couldn't do 5 years ago? What things can I handle that were just beyond my scope back then? And be proud of those changes and be proud of that personal development or what accomplishments you've had in your fitness change, your health change, or your lifestyle or mindset change over time. And then also think about where you could possibly be in another year if you continue to chip away at making those changes and keeping consistent with smaller actions all the time. So those big, huge changes don't ever come from this sudden overnight, crazy sprint push into diet or fitness or joining this gym or doing this new thing, or buying this book and following all the steps in it, to make whatever changes you're trying to make happen. It just doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen with a good, hard sprint type push. It happens with making the small needed changes on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and those add up to bigger things throughout a month, throughout 2 months, and on and on and on. So we need to put on our patient pants, and we need to take that same excited energy or that same determined energy or that same even sometimes nervous or fear-based energy, and take it and build it into some target daily actions and weekly actions that we know we can chip away at. And so getting stronger and being able to move these kettlebells and sandbags and doing things like that didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in a vacuum, and it didn't even happen really with, a massive intention of being able to lift X weight by X date. It happened from showing up over and over again, from doing some hard work on some days, some maintenance work on other days, and giving myself rest on other days. But always kind of pushing forward with the hopes of getting better and stronger, and not having too much of a timeline attached to that, but just getting back to, putting in the daily efforts. Same thing goes for eating style changes and lifestyle changes and habits. If we just kind of map out what it is that we need to do every day that's going to move the dial closer to where we want to be, we are much more likely to get there than if we, ascribe or prescribe to some quick fix 4, 6, 12 week plan of any kind, whether that's, financial, whether that's, other lifestyle, relationship, parenting, food choices. I'm just naming the big ones that come to mind off the top of my head. We need to know, yes, where we want to head. What do we want to be able to do? How do we want to feel in the future? And why is that meaningful to us? That's a whole nother topic. But then we need to back up. What is it I need to do right now that's going to help me get there? And what can I handle doing right now and continue to sustain for now that's going to help me get to the future? So, longer trainer tip Tuesday. I hope this is kind of helpful. I hope it wasn't too much. But basically, take the long view. Look at your previous accomplishments over the past couple of years. Really dig in. Find what you're proud of. Personal development or PRs or weight loss or whatever it is. And then think about where you might want to be in another year from now, like February of 2020. What do you want to be able to say that you can do that you couldn't do today? Or how do you want to feel? Or whatever. What kind of shape do you want to be in? Personally, financially, whatever. And then what can you start to do today? That's it. Find those little things that you can start doing. Congratulate yourself for doing them. And don't overwhelm yourself with doing everything at one time. Just find the things that you can do today and take the long view and have faith that what you're doing now is going to move you closer to where you want to be later. So anyway, that's it. Really and truly, that's it. I'll talk to you all soon. I hope you're doing fabulous. Bye.